Hey guys. Okay, so in last week's video, we talked about how to work out whether the components of a house are pre or post 1946 construction, aka whether the removal of those components is accessible or not accessible when you're in the traditional building character overlay. Now, in that video, I mentioned that I often use the Corley Explorer website, aka the original Google Earth, to sort of help me with that process. And I also said that in this week's video, we would talk about what Corley Explorer actually is. So, surprise, surprise, guess what? This week, that's exactly what we're going to cover off. So, the story goes that back in the 1960s and 70s, Frank and Eunice Corley were driving around Australia. In particular, they focused more heavily on southeast Queensland and more specifically on Brisbane. So they did a wide area, but they spent a lot more time here in Brisbane. Now, what they did is they set up a real entrepreneurial type of business. So Frank would drive around his Cadillac, he would use his knees to steer his car, and he would lean out the window and he would take photos of these houses. Now, Eunice, she would be parked in a van around the corner. He would then pull up, I assume, hand over the roll of film and then keep going on his merry way. And she would sit in the van each day developing these photos. When the photos were developed, she would hand them to a salesman, and the salesman would then go door to door selling these photos back to the homeowners. So I think they sold the photos individually for like 50 cents, and the photos within a calendar or some sort of greeting card that you could then give to your family members, they were $1. Big bucks back then. So yeah, these guys are reported to have taken, I think it's roughly 250,000 photos in the time period, which is just, it blows my mind. Now, the photos that were sold, great. Off they went, never seen again. The photos that were not sold were taken back to their house and stored under the house in boxes. Now, I've heard two different versions of the story as to what happened from here. The first version I heard was that Eunice, she passed away years and years ago. When Frank unfortunately passed away, a family friend came in to clear out the house and uncovered or discovered these boxes of photos and photos and photos. There was like 66,000 of them. So discovered all of these photos, rang up the State Library and went, yo, you might want to come check this out. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing. Now, the second version of the story that I've heard is that friend was a photographic contact. They had heard about the source or the photos that were under his house, Frank's house, and then they basically convinced Frank to hand them over to the State Library. So Frank was actually still alive when this process happened, but he passed away a few months later. So yeah, I don't quite know which version of the story is correct, but it's irrelevant. At the end of the day, basically, State Library Queensland got this phone call to say there is boxes of photos of houses from the 60s and 70s here. Do you want them? They turned up, raced out there, turned up and went, oh my goodness, we have hit the gold pot here. Like, this is jackpot material. Some of the photos were in great condition, some were in not so great condition. So there'd been water damage through them and they'd stuck together. Now, I have actually seen videos of the process of them going through with like heat guns, like really fine mist heat guns, trying to lift the photos apart and then using this glue paste to glue down the edges of the photos and all of that sort of stuff. Like, the effort that went into this preservation process blows my mind. So yeah, then what they did is they basically restored the photos and then they digitized them. Then they created a website that basically said, yo, anyone want to come and help us kind of work out where all these houses belong to? Because from what I'm told, they only had little real numbers on the back of some of them. So they could work out generally what order he went street to street in, and therefore they could kind of work out roughly what suburb it was in. But from there, the rest was a bit of a mystery. Anyway, from there, the community definitely got involved. And I've heard stories of so many people in the industry just taking this to the absolute extreme. Like one designer I know, he and his wife used to go out every weekend and drive through areas like Ipswich and stuff, just seeing if they could try and spot these final houses. And I remember talking to him one day and I'm like, can't you just use Google Street View for that? Or can't you just use aerial photos? Like, why do you get in the car? He's like, nah, sometimes you just can't get the angles, you can't see through the trees, and it's the experience. So I love it. This process, it just really got the community involved and everyone really interested in history and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, now what we have is the Corley Explorer website. You can go in there and you can just type in the address and it will pop up with any results nearby. If you're lucky, you will get a direct hit. Like, you'll get a photo pop up straight on of the house in the 60s and 70s and you can see exactly what it looked like at that point in time. More likely, unfortunately, you're going to get photos in the surrounding area. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can get a photo and see in the background what's happening on your property. But yeah, it's still interesting to do. Now, I was having a play around on this site again the other day and I realized there's a heap more to it than what I actually use it for. So like I said, I go in to see if there's a photo from the 60s and 70s so I can spot the difference to work out what's original and what's not original, or what's more likely original, what's not original. But yeah, you can go in and you can read stories people have added about their houses. You can go in and look at the styles of houses in each area. Like, it's an absolute rabbit hole to go down. Anyway, That's not the point of the story. The point of the story is if you just go to Google, type in Corley Explorer, it'll take you to the website, click on the search button, go through there, and you can use that resource to help you work out what a house used to look like back in the day. I think that covers off everything I want to talk about today, as I always like to say. Until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number two, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number three, what was my number three? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all. Bye.